Today's video, version 2 sequencer from Corsomotion versus version 1 sequencer. I'm gonna show you all the little things that I learned, how to control the switches, change settings, super easy stuff. You're gonna love it. We're gonna start right now. Thanks for joining me on the video. My name is Chris from FlyRyde.com, and these blinky, clicky, annoying things are the sequencers from Corsomotion. They do a lot of other cool stuff, specifically this one that has that awesome little running light animation as it turns on for the first time and then goes back to it after. That's a Switchback Sequential Sequencer, version 2 from Corsomotion. Our other guy that we have set up here has a cool brake light function, and of course it does the sequential as well. If I hook up this other wire to it that I just ran out of buttons on this little remote control here, you got the cool running light that turns into brake light and sequential turn signal. That's kind of like the face value overview, but let's dive in. I really want to show you all the tiny little details, things that people have actually been upset about because they didn't know how to do it and they had to figure it out for themselves. I don't want you to be upset. I want you to be smart. I want you to learn. I want you to not suffer like that poor soul that was crying about it. Love you, Matt. All right, let's dive into it. We're gonna start with the new V2 sequencer. And the thing with this is it has an output section. All these little dudes down the side, they can have output for white or red. And then there's a second column here that's just for the outputs for turn signal. Now it's a little bit different than the version 1, so we'll talk about that in a bit. I'm gonna show you these little dip switches, these little guys right here in the corner. And to see them better, we can even put them on screen. Look at that. Would you look at that?
Just look at it. Yeah, well. What the heck is that?
Bow. You can see the switches. You can see them so good. So these tiny little dudes, look at that gnarly fingernail. Ugh, look how crazy this freaking camera is. Check this out. Lower that brightness so we can see. We've got these inputs right here. We've got ground on the bottom, then parking light, then brake, then turn signal, and then we have O. But what is O? The current version of the version 2 sequencer, O is not programmed, but it will be an optional thing later for things like show modes. So let's talk about all the other modes that it does have. This is all set up to be run in the headlight mode using all these little dip switches right here. I just happen to have it hooked up to a remote control to make this easier so I'm not fiddling with wires while I'm trying to show you what everything does. But even something as cool as that little animation right there, that's all specified from the dip switches. So let's make some changes and see what it looks like when we do that. So one little thing that I did catch in doing this video and working with that crazy microscope is that these switches right here, they're just a regular row of 9 switches, and if they're flipped upside down, the only thing that changes on them is the numbers are not gonna match the instructions. So if you got one of the batch that had these things flipped upside down, just know that pin number 9 is the one closest to the Corsomotion logo right there. So let's start making changes. The first thing that I wanna do is I'm gonna show off the different functions that we have here. If we have switch 7 and switch 8 in the off position, there's no animation whatsoever. It just turns on automatically. But we have 3 different types of animations that we can get just from turning on and off 7 and 8. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn 7 off and 8 on by switching that up, and now we're gonna get animation type A. So this is the longest of all of them. Kind of takes a while, does this crazy little dim thing. Okay, now we're gonna switch that. So we're gonna go 8 off, 7 on. We're gonna get animation B. This is my favorite. I really like this one. It's quick, it's interesting, and you get to enjoy it without waiting for too long, all right? And then the last is gonna be if 7 and 8 are both switched on. I actually really like this. So this is animation type C. Now we're gonna dive into some turn signal options. So turn signals and sequential LED, it's like the whole game. It's what everybody wants. It's why they look up sequential in first place. Most people aren't really thinking about show modes when they see cool sequential lights. They're just like, I really like that. I think that'd look dope for my turn signals. So the cool thing is about these V1 and V2 sequencers, if you change the dip switches, you change the animation style of the turn signal. You don't have to know computer knowledge, anything like that, no special.
Bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling.
No special equipment. You literally flip a switch, the animation changes, and you get to enjoy it. A couple other cool things I want to mention is I didn't have enough buttons a second ago to turn on all the functions over there. I only had 4, but I have 8 if I use this Control Freak Bluetooth voice controlled world-changing, awesome control box. I'm gonna be doing a video on that soon. I'm also gonna be doing a video on this dope little gadget. This is a 6-channel remote control, and the 6th one, the 6th button, is a momentary. All the other ones are regular, kind of like push the button and thing turns on. That is from Speedtech Lights. That's another video coming up. Super excited about it. Thought I'd mention it because it would have made that way more smarter looking, I guess. And last cool little new gadget. This thing I am so excited about because I'm gonna get to do all the little circuit stuff. I'm gonna get to do a lot of Corsomotion parts that I'll be talking about in this series that's coming up here. And I'm gonna be using this Andon Star microscope screen video recording, picture taking, awesome nerd tool. Subscribe to the channel. Get in on all of this awesome nerd tech, switches and sequencers and microscopes and things I don't know a whole lot about, but I'm learning as I go and I'm trying to teach you everything that I figure out. Just like with the parking lights, if we control 7 and 8, we can change the way that they look. But now if we do 4, 5, and 6, we've got 3 different ones, so we got lots more options. I'm gonna turn all of those to off right now, and then what we're gonna get is an instant on. So this is a normal switchback function. Now it's gonna get fun though. We're gonna turn just switch 6 on, and then check out that turn signal. So that's an animation where it's filling up and it doesn't stop. It doesn't do a trailing effect or anything. It just fills all the way up, then turns off and starts over. And of course, switchback, so it goes back to white after. If we wanna make a change to the parking light by just turning off 7 and 8, what'll happen is we'll get an instant pop back to white. There's no fading on. Totally different look. So you can blend the 2 different options between how you select your parking light as well as how you select your turn signal. Now, there is nothing special about this when it turns on now because I made that change. So you really gotta weigh up what makes the most sense for you. Let's check out what it is if we turn that off, and then we're gonna say switch 6 off, switch 5 on, switch 4 off. So we've got this weird animation where the white and the amber were on at the same time, and then it like unwinds. See that again. And then after that, it's just blinking on and off. I think that might have a little bit of a timing or a coding issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, not my favorite one of all of those. I'm gonna turn switch 5 off, and I'm gonna turn switch 4 on, 5 and 6 are off. Now we've got a pew pew. I call a pew pew a little chunk of LED that's rolling through and then it has a trailing effect behind it, kind of like a little comet or something. I actually really dig that look. I'm curious how it's gonna look if we blend a cooler animation for the parking light, like that. And then our pew pew. Pew pew. Fade back on. That's pretty cool. I'll check out the other way as well. Parking light with that animation and the pew pew. Pretty cool combination, although you don't get as much light because you don't have so many LEDs that are on. Now we're gonna start blending different stuff. So we've got switch 4 on, 5 and 6 are off. We're gonna do switch 4 and 5 on, switch 6 off. So this is a little different than the other one because it starts coming down here, but then it starts trailing behind. So it doesn't stay on right here until this is finished. There's actually a trailing effect. It's harder to see when it's got this speed setting on the sequencer, but because we have a flasher relay set back there, it's giving you a realistic on the bench scenario, just like it would be on the car. We don't have that long for the animation to complete. This time, let's turn 4, 5, and 6 on at the same time. That's gonna give us a similar thing, but if you can tell, it looks like the trailing effect is actually a little bit longer. Let's see if we can compare those side to side. I don't know if I'm supposed to do this, but I'm doing it. So there's not a, oh, I see. It's all bright and then it goes to the end. And then if we add 6 to the mix, then we're getting a fading off of the trail behind it. I actually like that better. 4, 5, and 6 on at the same time, and then it fades back to that. So I'm pretty stoked on all these so far. I'm gonna try to turn this on. So now we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 on, and we get this combination. Fade on. Pretty cool. I swore that one did an animation before though. Let's see. Nope. It's like, you're not that cool, Chris. You don't get to have everything that you want. Ooh, it did it. Got him. I don't really know why sometimes it does it and sometimes it doesn't, but I really like that fading effect. It keeps all the LEDs on. It looks super dope. All right, now we're gonna do 4 off, 5 and 6 on. And I think what this comes down to is a timing issue. I think it's trying to unwind. I just don't think it has enough time. Unfortunately, because those blinks are so close together, you only have that half a second for this thing to unwind, and I just don't think the coating is keeping up with it. If you can adjust your blinker speed on the car, you might be able to do something about that. If not, I don't really see that there's anything you can do with it. All right, now the last set of switches that we have are 1, 2, and 3, and for those, unfortunately, I believe those are only for the brake lights. Okay, that wasn't even all of the switches, and it took forever to go through all of that, so thanks for sitting through it with me. I am gonna do another review of this as a taillight video specifically, and that's gonna be for the Nissan GTR. Hang in there for the rest of the video right now because I am gonna go over the V1 sequencer, which is better when you just have one color of LED. You want it to do parking light, brake light, and cool turn signal, then you're gonna use the version 1. But if you've got something like this that's got 2 different colors, you wanna have the version 2 for 2 different colors, just like it's gonna be with the set of GTR lights that I do real soon, where it's gonna be for a European car. So that means you have to have parking light and brake light for red only, not turn signal. Turn signal is gonna have to remain amber. So for that, I'm gonna use a version 2 sequencer. I'm gonna hook up the parking light and brake for all of the red LEDs, and then I'm gonna have a separate circuit board that's just for turn signal. It'll actually have reverse too, but that won't matter. It'll be cool. Okay, so just like the other one, we have different options here. What are the changes for our cool parking lights? That is just a little Dancy Dance mode. I don't know why you would do Dancy Dance mode. I mean, maybe if you don't need dedicated lights for running lights, you just need them for brakes, and you want Dancy Dance mode to be on there. I'm not 100% sure who would want that, but people are strange, so whatever, I'll give them that. Okay, let's talk about the switches on version 1. So we have 1 through 6, and they're grouped up in 3 different categories. Switch 1 is honestly just a little weird Dancy Dance mode. So if you keep that in the off position, then when you turn on the parking light, it's just gonna give it power. It's just gonna turn on like that. No cool modes yet. That is gonna be updated as I'm told. But then we've got the other 2 functions, which are brake and turn signal. So switch 2 and 3 are both off right now. And when we hit the brakes, that's what we get. But if we switch, let's say switch 3 on and switch 2 off, we get this cool triple flash, right? And then nothing happens. But if we switch it to 2 and 3 to the on position, now we get a triple flash and then a little fade on and off that starts happening. If we turn off switch 3, we get the same fade, but we just don't have the cool triple flash before it starts happening. All right, so if you're into fading, if you wanna get faded, switch 2 on. All right, so that takes care of switch 2 and 3. I actually like to keep 2 off, 1 off, 3 on. That's my setting preference. That's gonna give me instant on parking lights and then cool triple flash for the brakes. Now we've got our turn signal. We have 4, 5, and 6 in the off position, and we just have regular flashing. So what we're gonna do now is play with the different setups. So we have switch 4 on right now. We get a pew pew. That's 4 on, 5 and 6 off. Now we're gonna do 4 and 5 on. Bigger pew pew. This is like when you get the upgrade in the video game and your laser gets bigger. That's what just happened. All right, now we're gonna do 4, 5, and 6 on at the same time. And we get, what's that, a trailing effect? Let's turn off 6 right now and see what happens. Yeah, so it's the same as with just 4 and 5 on, but then you get the little trail behind it as well. Pretty cool, I like that. But there's a lot of other setups that we can do here. So now we're gonna do 4 off, 5 and 6 on. And just like with the headlights, as you saw on the first pass, it gives us the cool animation, but after that, our speed is just too fast. It's not gonna let us do the thing that we want to do because those inputs from the car's flash relay, they're just too fast. So That doesn't really work out well. Let's do 5 and 4 off, just 6 on. Now this is a really good one because you get the most light output. It comes all the way on and then it turns off and starts over. So there's no fading right back here. Let's see what happens if we go 6 off. So 4, 5, and 6 should be off now. It's just flashing like regular. And I'm gonna turn just 5 on. It's trying, you can see it's trying to sequentially turn off. This is like a standard turn signal on an Audi. It's just different because it has supplied power, where this only gets its signal for as long as that click lasts. So also another one that's not gonna be super usable. And let's see, just 6 on. Okay, I think that's what we had before. Anything we didn't have on? 4 and 6 on. It's another pew pew. Pew pews are dope. I'm into it. Let's go 4 off, 5 and 6 on. Yeah, I think it's trying to do the other thing. That's what I'm gonna stick with. So that's 4 and 5 off, and then you have 6 on. So my setup here has 1 and 2 off, 3 on, 4 and 5 off, 6 on. And what that gives us is this exact setup here. Parking lights on, brake light, triple flash, stays on, turn signal, fills all the way up, starts over, and it's gonna work perfectly on a car that has a normal flasher relay. We can adjust the speed of this. There's a little screw setting right here. The little screw is kind of hard to mess with, so I'm gonna see if I can do it with this screwdriver. All right, here we go, perfect. So if I go to the right, it's getting the whole thing, go to the left, and now as I keep turning to the left, it's gonna turn on more and more LEDs as I go. And what you wanna do is see the speed of your car and adjust this screw all the way, but not too much, because if it's too fast, you barely even get any of the sequential look. So you wanna get it to where it just hits that last LED, get it to where the last LED is not turning on, and then get it to where it just comes on. And that's gonna give you the slowest animation of the remaining LEDs, but it's not gonna last as long. So the brightest portion of the light is only on for just a fraction of a second, as opposed to it zipping on so fast you barely could tell it was sequential and it stays on longer. I'd rather have it set up like this, my personal preference. Same thing on this one. I changed this to where I've got 4 up, 5 and 6 off, and we've got the little pew pew. Now I'm gonna adjust this third screw down. There's 3 of them total. I'm gonna adjust the bottom one. It says it's for the turn signal. And as I adjust it, spinning it counterclockwise, it's getting insane fast. You can't even really see that it's doing it. But then if I turn it all the way clockwise to the right, it's gonna slow down to the fact where it's not even gonna complete the animation. Actually, it does. This is all the way slowed down and it completes it. So if we check out some of these other animations, let's do 4 and 5 on. Now you can see that it's actually staying on all the way at the top. Now this might make sense to speed it up a little bit. Oh, never mind. It has a trailing effect. And if I turn on 6 as well, now it's actually fading. So I'm gonna turn it all the way back to the right, which should be the slowest setting. All the way to the left, fastest setting. Can't even really get anything good out of that. All right, this is 4 and 5 off and just 6 coming on. So that's actually sequential, and it's so fast you don't get to see anything. As I start turning this thing to the right to slow it down, you can see that it's actually slowing way down, and it still lasts. You barely get the last little flash right here. So check this out. If I turn the speed setting much faster, this is gonna stay lit longer, but you're gonna lose some of the coolness of the animation. But that is a good balance, because you can tell that it's sequential, but this stays lit for a good long time. That actually looks pretty good. Nice and slow, but you get to see the full sea light. 7 on, 8 off. Hey, that's pretty dope. I'm into it. It's my favorite. All right, again, there will be another video showing the version 2 sequencer on a set of taillights that has both red LEDs and amber. So that's gonna be coming up. But meanwhile, I just wanted to walk through all of that stuff because these sequential controllers are amazing. They allow you to do really cool things, and no wire harness, no crazy extras, just some little things that you gotta figure out. And if you're gonna make them for somebody else, you have to be able to explain to them how all the functions work, which is why I made this video. So share this video with those people, make them dope lights, then don't worry about explaining how they all work. Just tell them, watch the video, it'll tell you what switches to flip, and hopefully Randy enjoys these taillights for his S13 now that he can play with them himself instead of needing a computer to program them as I had originally planned to do. So I think for that is enough nerd talk. Thank you for staying all the way to the end. Thank you for subscribing, hitting the like button, doing all the awesome things, and stay tuned because I'm putting a lot of these parts on the Mazda project, and a huge change is coming up on that. But I'll tell you about it on the next video. See ya.
Bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling.